Empty, void, absence. What does nothing really mean? Today, we'll explore words that describe the concept of nothingness, from zero to null. With clear definitions, examples, and images, let's dive into the language of nothing. Insignificance as noun. Lack of importance or influence. Triviality. The quality or state of being unimportant or of little significance. In the vastness of the universe, our individual problems can often feel like they are of little significance, reminding us of our own insignificance in the cosmic scale. The insignificance of his role in the company became apparent when major decisions were made without his input. Despite her efforts, she felt a sense of insignificance in the face of larger societal problems. After the grandeur of the mountains, the city's skyscrapers seemed to fade into insignificance. His comment was met with indifference, highlighting its insignificance in the conversation. Insufficiency is noun. The quality or condition of being insufficient or inadequate. The state of being inadequate or not enough. Lack of sufficiency. There was an insufficiency of evidence to convict the defendant. She experienced frustration due to the insufficiency of support from her colleagues. The insufficiency of funds prevented them from completing the project on time. The insufficiency of sleep resulted in decreased productivity and cognitive function. The insufficiency of resources hindered their ability to respond effectively to the crisis. Nominal as adjective. Existing in name only. Insignificantly small or nominal in comparison to the actual value or significance. Of, relating to, or characteristic of a nominal or named role, title, or position, without necessarily possessing the associated authority or responsibilities. The university offers a nominal fee for alumni to access library resources and other facilities. The landlord charges a nominal rent for the studio apartment, making it affordable for low-income tenants. She held a nominal position in the company, with little actual authority or decision-making power. The politician maintained a nominal presence in the community, attending public events and meetings for appearances. The company's stock price experienced only a nominal increase, failing to reflect its true value and potential. Parsimonious as adjective. Characterized by being frugal or thrifty, avoiding waste or extravagance. Economical or frugal in the use of resources, especially money. The parsimonious landlord refused to make any repairs to the apartment. The company's parsimonious approach to salaries led to high employee turnover. The miserly old man was known for his parsimonious ways. The parsimonious shopper refused to buy anything that wasn't on sale. The parsimonious boss wouldn't even let his employees use the company's coffee machine. Inconsequential as adjective. Having no impact or bearing on a situation. Trivial or insignificant. Not important or significant. Lacking in consequence or importance. In the grand scheme of things, his absence from the meeting was inconsequential. His opinion on the matter was inconsequential since he had no expertise in the subject. The delay caused by the traffic jam was inconsequential. We arrived at our destination only a few minutes late. The decision to change the font style in the document was inconsequential and did not affect its readability. The small scratch on the car was inconsequential compared to the overall damage. Penury is noun. A state of severe scarcity or insufficiency. A condition of deprivation or hardship. Extreme poverty or destitution. The state of lacking the resources or means to provide for one's basic needs. The documentary exposed the harsh realities of life in rural areas where penury is widespread. Despite their efforts, they remain trapped in a cycle of penury and debt. The government's failure to address poverty has led to widespread penury in certain regions. After losing his job, he fell into penury and struggled to make ends meet. The family's penury forced them to rely on charitable donations for food and shelter. Scant as verb, to provide or give something in insufficient or limited amounts. To treat or regard something with little importance or attention. The manager scant the complaints of the workers, dismissing them as insignificant. The company scant funds for research and development, hindering innovation. She scant him little regard after he betrayed her trust. The chef scant the dish with seasoning, resulting in bland flavors. Due to budget constraints, the school could only scant resources for extracurricular activities. Nihilism as noun, a rejection or denial of traditional beliefs, moral principles, social institutions, and cultural norms, often accompanied by a sense of despair or disillusionment. The philosophical belief that life is meaningless, devoid of inherent value or purpose, and that all values are baseless and without foundation. The philosophy of nihilism has been explored by thinkers such as Friedrich Nietzsche and Jean-Paul Sartre. Existential nihilism posits that life has no inherent meaning or purpose, and that individuals are ultimately responsible for creating their own meaning. The protagonist in the novel grapples with feelings of nihilism after experiencing a series of personal tragedies. Moral nihilism denies the existence of objective moral values or principles, arguing that moral judgments are subjective and arbitrary. Some critics view the rise of consumerism and materialism as manifestations of cultural nihilism, in which superficial pursuits replace deeper existential questions. Scarcity is noun, a situation in which the demand for a commodity exceeds its supply in the market, resulting in higher prices. The state of being scarce or in short supply, insufficiency or inadequacy of quantity. Economic scarcity often leads to competition for resources among individuals and nations. Scarcity of skilled workers in certain industries has prompted companies to offer higher wages. The scarcity of affordable housing in urban areas has become a pressing issue. During times of war, scarcity of food and medical supplies can lead to humanitarian crises. The scarcity of clean water in the region led to conflicts among communities. Poverty is noun, the quality or state of being characterized by scarcity, deprivation, or insufficiency, often associated with economic hardship or disadvantage. The state or condition of lacking sufficient material resources or wealth to meet basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing. Many families in the region live in poverty, struggling to afford necessities like food and medicine. The government implemented programs to alleviate poverty and improve living conditions for low-income communities. Poverty rates can vary significantly between urban and rural areas, as well as across different demographic groups. Poverty is a complex social issue with deep-rooted causes such as inequality, lack of access to education, and economic instability. Charities and nonprofit organizations work to address the root causes of poverty and provide assistance to those in need. Attrition as noun, the gradual reduction in the size or strength of something over time. The process of wearing down or weakening through continuous pressure, friction, or loss. The company experienced attrition in its workforce due to layoffs and resignations. Over time, the attrition of wind and water eroded the coastline, reshaping the shoreline. The attrition of morale among employees resulted from the prolonged period of uncertainty. The attrition of market share occurred as competitors introduced new products and services. The attrition of resources depleted the organization's funding, leading to budget cuts. Scant as adjective. Barely sufficient or adequate in amount. Limited or meager. Not fully covering or providing for something. Insufficient or inadequate. Despite their best efforts, the team had only made scant progress on the project. The company offered scant benefits to its employees, leading to dissatisfaction among staff. She gave him a scant smile, indicating her lack of enthusiasm for the idea. His explanation was scant on details, leaving many questions unanswered. The evidence against him was scant, leading to doubts about his guilt. Void as verb. To cancel or nullify. To declare something invalid or without legal effect. To empty or evacuate a space or container. To clear or make vacant. The company voided the transaction after discovering fraudulent activity on the account. The judge decided to void the contract due to a breach of agreement by one of the parties. The tenant voided the apartment, removing all personal belongings before moving out. He voided his bladder before boarding the long flight to avoid discomfort during the journey. The warranty becomes void if the product is tampered with or modified in any way. Minuscule as noun. A lowercase letter, especially in Greek or Latin script. A small cursive script developed from uncial and used especially between the 7th and 12th centuries. The paleographers studied the evolution of minuscule handwriting throughout history. The minuscule in the calligraphy was so precise that it resembled printed text. The medieval scribe carefully penned each minuscule in the illuminated manuscript. The document was written in elegant minuscules that were difficult to decipher. The ancient text was written in a mix of majuscules and minuscules. Void as noun. A feeling or state of emptiness or nothingness, a lack of significance or purpose. An empty space, a vacuum or absence of matter. The vast void of space stretches infinitely beyond our solar system. After the breakup, she felt a profound sense of void in her life, struggling to find meaning and purpose. The artist used negative space to create a sense of void and emptiness in the painting. The contract contained a clause specifying the consequences of a void, should any part of the agreement be deemed invalid. The void left by the loss of a loved one can be difficult to fill. Indigent as adjective. Characterized by poverty or destitution. Extremely poor, lacking basic necessities of life. The homeless man was indigent and in need of assistance. The indigent patients cannot afford to pay for medical treatment. The government provides aid to indigent citizens. The indigent children in the community are in need of education and support. The charity provides aid to indigent families in the community. Frugal as noun. A person who practices or advocates frugality. One who is economical or thrifty in their spending habits. The quality or characteristic of being frugal. The practice of using resources carefully and avoiding waste. Despite his wealth, he lives a lifestyle of frugal, preferring to save rather than spend. She learned the value of frugal from her parents, who lived through the Great Depression. Frugal is a virtue that many people aspire to, especially in times of economic uncertainty. The company's success can be attributed to its culture of frugal, minimizing expenses while maximizing profits. My grandmother is a frugal who knows how to stretch a dollar. Dearth as noun. A lack of something that is needed or desired. a scarcity or shortage of something, especially something essential or needed. The drought caused a dearth of crops, leading to food shortages. The team struggled due to a dearth of experienced players. The conference had a dearth of attendees, which was disappointing for the organizers. The small town suffered from a dearth of job opportunities for its residents. The bookshelves were empty, a clear sign of a dearth of readers. Void as adjective. Completely empty, containing no matter, devoid of substance. Having no legal force or effect, null and invalid. The abandoned warehouse stood silent and void of life. The old house sat void of furniture, abandoned for years. Her mind felt void of thoughts as she stared blankly into space. The contract was declared void after it was discovered to have been signed under duress. The computer system crashed, leaving the screen void of any information. Paucity is noun, a scarcity or lack of something, especially something that is needed or desired, a small or insufficient amount of something. There was a paucity of fresh produce at the grocery store due to the recent storm. The paucity of available jobs in the area forced many residents to look for work elsewhere. The team struggled to score goals because of a paucity of skilled strikers. The paucity of funding for the arts meant that many local theaters had to close. The paucity of evidence meant that the case was dismissed by the court. Scant as adverb. Barely or hardly, with difficulty or reluctance, with little regard or attention, barely noticeably. The car barely missed the pedestrian, skimming scant past her. He could scant contain his excitement when he heard the news. The company's profits increased only scant in the last quarter. He could scant afford to miss another day of work due to illness. She paid scant attention to the details of the contract. Emptiness as noun, a feeling of loneliness, desolation, or lack of fulfillment, a sense of inner void or hollowness. The state of being empty or devoid of content, the absence of substance, meaning, or significance. She experienced a profound sense of emptiness after the loss of her loved one. The emptiness of his words left her feeling disillusioned and disconnected. The vast emptiness of the desert stretched out before them, devoid of life. The emptiness of the abandoned house echoed with the memories of its former occupants. Despite his material wealth, he felt a deep emptiness inside, longing for something more meaningful. Vacuous as adjective. Empty, vacant, or devoid of significant qualities or characteristics. Lacking in substance, meaning, or intellectual content. The celebrity's social media posts were often criticized as vacuous and self-promoting. The party was criticized for its vacuous approach to policymaking. The politician's speech was full of vacuous promises and platitudes. The article was criticized for its vacuous content and lack of substance. His argument was dismissed as vacuous and unsupported by evidence. Trivial as adjective, lacking in importance or seriousness, of little significance or value. The error was deemed trivial and overlooked. She complained about trivial things that didn't matter. The comment he made was dismissed as trivial and irrelevant. The task was so trivial that it didn't require much effort. The argument was about trivial matters that didn't affect the outcome. Nominal as noun, A term or designation used to identify or classify something, often in a formal or official context. A word or group of words functioning as a name or label for something, without necessarily implying a specific meaning or value. The contract specifies a nominal payment of $1 to formalize the agreement and make it legally binding. Political leaders often use nominals to refer to government programs or policies, such as education reform or economic stimulus. In linguistics, a nominal is a word that functions primarily as a noun, such as book, table, or happiness. The company offers a nominal fee for its services, allowing clients to access premium features at an affordable price. The nominal GDP of a country represents the total value of goods and services produced within its borders, excluding inflation or deflation. Negligible as adjective. Neglectable, inconsequential, trifling, insignificant. So small or unimportant as to be not worth considering or paying attention to. The amount of sugar in this drink is negligible, making it a healthier option. The cost of repairs was negligible compared to the overall value of the property. The minor scratches on the car were negligible and didn't require any repairs. The impact of the new policy on the company's operations was negligible. The difference in performance between the two models was negligible. Minuscule as adjective. Extremely small, tiny or diminutive in size, written in or consisting of small letters or lowercase characters. The apartment was cozy but had a minuscule kitchenette. Despite its minuscule size, the insect was capable of causing significant damage to crops. The spider was so minuscule that it could barely be seen with the naked eye. The font on the label was minuscule, making it difficult to read without a magnifying glass. She found a minuscule crack in the wall where the light was shining through. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.